My long-lost brother just shows up, coming back out of nowhere. It turns out he's been in Thailand for the last 10 years and nobody heard from him. Everybody in our family thought that he was dead. We even opened a missing persons report for him, and then he just shows up like nothing even happened 10 years later. But guys, there's one part of this story that is going to shock you. Okay, so buckle up, guys. This is a wild one. So, ever since I was a little kid, it's just been me and my old man. My mom died right after I was born, so Pops had to pull double duty raising me solo. He never remarried or anything, just focused on being the best single father ever, while also running his little houseware shop that he started before I popped out. Even though it was just the two of us, we had a pretty chill life. Dad's store did alright, enough to give us a modest middle-class lifestyle. I loved hanging out there after school, shelving inventory in the stockroom, dusting knickknacks, and just ringing up the occasional customer on that old vintage ka-ching register. Yeah, good times. Anyways, I started helping out more with the family business as I got older. Working the counter, unboxing deliveries, bookkeeping, and even doing some purchasing. Pop showed me the ropes of the retail game from A to Z. By the time I graduated high school, I was practically managing the whole day-to-day. We made a pretty good team, me and Dad. So that was my life, just me and my devoted, hardworking father running our little store together. But of course, things can never stay quiet in, the land of the world for long. One morning, the summer before I left for college, Pop sits me down with this majorly serious look on his face. He's just sipping on his coffee, staring dead at me across the kitchenway. I got a call from your, brother last night. My who? Your brother Michael. Alright guys, so buckle up. Here's the plot twist. I do have a brother. Well, I did have one once. An older brother named Michael who booked it from home at the age of 15 after getting into some deep trouble. Constantly fighting with Dad, crazy truancy issues, running away for days at a time, and it's just real chaotic stuff. One day, Michael just straight up disappeared. No one had heard him from, a decade. We didn't even know if he was still alive, if he was breathing, and seriously, he was basically a ghost in our lives, just poof, gone. Dad refused to even talk about it ever. You could tell it really messed him up, so over the years, we all just kinda moved on. Michael became like the family secret no one dared mention. But now, over 10 years later, the runaway prodigal brother randomly resurfaced out of the flippin' blue. Dad said that he was calling from Thailand, of all places. Get this, Michael got super into Muay Thai when he left home and has been boxing professionally abroad in Thailand ever since. This was literally the first time my ghost brother had reached out to Dad in 13 years. I was floored and I could not help but wonder why now? Why return to the family he ditched after over a decade? It seemed mad suspicious, Well, according to Dad, Michael wanted to come visit us for a bit. Said that he, quote, made amends with some old demons and wanted to reconnect with his long-estranged family. And my father, the saint that he was, actually agreed. You know what, I was just skeptical about the whole vibe, but hey, it's not my long-lost bro or anything, is it? When Dad says the kid can visit, he can visit. So, fast forward to the day Michael arrived. There comes an Uber, pulling up and stepping out is this strong, muscled dude, totally unrecognizable. He went from this scrawny teen from Dad's old photos. Now here stood a full-on beast of a man, straight out of some Thailand fight camp. I'm talking sleeveless hoodies, showing off those Muay Thai cannons. I'm not gonna lie, my jaw straight up dropped. This was my brother? Well, I guess fighting professionally has been good to him in the body department, at least. Well, while I gawked, Michael strolled up, grabbed his duffel from the trunk, and made his way inside like it had not been over 10 years since we'd seen him. I hovered awkwardly while he and Father embraced in a hug that felt way too forgiving, considering the circumstances. But I guess Pops was just stoked. to have the prodigal brother home. So, the next 2 weeks were, interesting. Michael, he was just with us over these memories of the top stories about his life abroad. He'd apparently traveled all throughout Southeast Asia, fighting, winning these underground tournaments, and reputation in the Muay Thai scene. He used his so-called clout to open up a little training gym in Bangkok, where he coached up-and-comers. He even showed us pictures of his star students and these scrappy Thai kids he was sponsoring to turn to pro boxers. You could tell he was proud of these boys, and he said that they were like his adopted family. Now, of course, the road to Thailand boxing fame had not been all sunshine and lollipops. There was shade, sketchy gambling, predatory managers, legit injuries, he described, but from how Michael told it, he took it all in stride. Apparently, this whole fight gym thing was his mission to help unprivileged kids through Muay Thai, and nothing could stop his mission. I gotta say, it seemed like he's taken the pain from his past and alchemized it into something positive. The young troublemaker was nowhere in sight. So Dad was over the moon to have his son back in the fold. No matter how much time had passed, he and Michael stayed up late just healing old wounds, talking out issues that should have been resolved ages ago. Watching them reconnect, it was nice. Despite barely knowing this stranger, just having him here made our family feel oddly whole again. When Michael visited, it ended, he invited Pops and I to come stay with him in Thailand. He wanted to show us this world and introduce us to his fighter family. Dad enthusiastically agreed almost on the spot. I was surprised at how quick he was to embrace the reunion, but hey, that's Pops, never one to hold a grudge. So, we made plans to fly out in 6 months' time, after my freshman year wrapped up. Saw Michael off to the airport with real smiles and hugs. Everybody was hyped for our next rendezvous overseas. The future was looking good. I've always wanted to go to Thailand. Well, you know what they say about the future. It's not predictable. 2 months later, Dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. By the time I got home from my first semester away at college, his health was almost gone. Well, clearly our sunny vacation in Thailand is not going to happen, so I withdrew from school to be there for Pops as things declined pretty quickly. Michael actually flew back as soon as he heard the news, and we tag-teamed caring for Father during his final months. Having him here was a huge help, obviously, and brought us closer in our grief. We weren't strangers anymore, but brothers united in our love of Dad. So, Pops passed a couple weeks before my 20th birthday. It was hard, like a black hole in your soul hard. But Michael and I found solace in one another, the only remnants left in our little family. What's up, everybody? So I do have 2 updates for you today. Update number 1 takes place after the funeral, and this happy-go-lucky type story is about to take a twist. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you do if you want to watch these daily revenge stories. Alright guys, let's check out update number 1, after the funeral. Michael asked to extended visit a bit more. He wanted to help me get Dad's affair in order before returning overseas, and I said of course. The thought of facing this alone as soon as this was happening was too much. Having him around was my lifeline. In the weeks that followed, Michael became my rock. He cooked, he cleaned, he listened to my endless dad stories, all while just shuffled around the house in a depressing fog. His quiet companionship kept me going during these initial last months without Pops. We needed each other. But of course, when it seems like you finally reach safe harbor, the waves drag you back out to sea. We finally held Dad's will reading 2 months after his passing. His lawyer came to the house, leather portfolio in hand, and Michael and I settled in the dining room table, steaming mugs clenched anxiously in our hands. In truth, I had no real expectation for this. Dad's stuff and his money, it just mattered so little to me now. Nothing could have ever replaced him. I just wanted this legal box checked so I could move on. The lawyer adjusted his glasses, opened up his portfolio, and started reading. He rambled through various boiler points and subclauses in that lollerly monotone, but then he said something that changed everything. To my son Michael, I leave the entirety of the estate. Come again. Excuse me, what? Michael and I locked eyes. Neither of us knew how to react. See, Dad never updated his will after Michael left home, vanished, and by the terms of this ancient document, Michael alone will inherit the house, the store, the remaining assets, the investments, literally everything Father had worked for his whole life. I sat there numb and just kept waiting for the lawyers to yell, "Psych! Just kidding!" or for Michael to laugh at the obvious mistake, but as the reality set in, shock turned to anger. And I mean red-hot anger. Okay,
so buckle up,
brother
guys. This is a
waltzed
wild
back
one.
into our lives after over a decade away, only to now be handed everything of value from Dad's
My mom
life
died
and
right
work.
after I was born,
What?
so Pop...
It felt like the ultimate betrayal, like this whole period of grieving together has been a ploy just for Michael to sweep in as the prodigal vulture and claim his reward. I still remember Michael's hand on my shoulder, his voice echoing as if underwater. Hey, I'll make sure you're taken care of too, bro. This is utter crap. I'm the one who's been here, who helped Father, kept his business going. I know, man, I know. You're completely right. You deserve just as much, I swear. I'll save your breath. I'm contesting this garbage will. We'll just see what the court has to say, Michael. I grabbed the papers right out of the confused lawyer's hand and stormed out, ignoring everybody in the room. My body just took me right out of our store and my true home. The place that held my best memories with Dad, the heart of my whole identity. The thought of it passing to Michael like some overwritten afterthought was inconceivable. So, I unlocked the front door. I let it slam behind me and finally just screamed out some primal sob I've been choking down. So that's about where this all turned into an epic legal battle royale. I straight up avoided Michael in the days that followed, and after all, what do you even say to the brother who waltzed back into your life just to rob it? My lawyer confirmed I have valid grounds to contest based on the circumstances, so we filed the paperwork to dispute in probate court. I won't lie, I felt capable of violence towards another human being for the first time ever. This was more than a legal fight for me, it was war. At the hearing, a couple months later, you could cut the tension with a rusty spoon. Michael came ready to claim what he saw as his birthright, but I had truth on my side. I told it all, raising myself after Michael left. Building the store with Dad, the endless sacrifice of caring for him until the end, and I laid my soul bare about what it had all meant to me, and how unbelievably cruel Michael's swooping in felt. His lawyer tried to spin it favorably, the prodigal son now ready to accept responsibility and honor Dad's outdated wishes, but the judge saw through it. In the end, he ruled that I was entitled to half the estate. The store would need to be sold and assets split down the middle. Not full justice in my eyes, but I'd take it. Michael even had the nerve to approach after, ready to shake hands and mend fences. I left him hanging. I walked away without looking back. I used my portion to buy a small condo near the university where I'd re-enrolled. It wasn't home, but hey, it was a start. Michael got the house and his half of the cash, which I honestly did not care about anymore. It's just sad reminders of what I'd lost. Michael headed back to Thailand, and I tried to forget he even existed. Just wanted to move forward with my education and my part-time job, determined to forge ahead on my own. After all, as far as I was concerned, I didn't even have a brother anymore. Update number 2. What happens to Michael now?
Okay,
Well,
so
for a
buckle
while,
up, guys.
pouring
This is a
myself
wild
into
one.
school and work
So,
was enough.
ever since
But
I was
eventually,
a little kid,
Michael's
it's
absence
just been
started
me
eating.
and my old man.
Unanswered questions kept bubbling up from the depths. I mean, why had he really come back into our lives right before Dad got sick? Did he somehow know about the will and was just swooping in to claim a payday from the get-go? Or was his intention sincere and I lashed out when we both needed family most? I don't know. My bitterness is slowly just going towards regret.
When he first came home, Michael had shown me real vulnerability and desire for family. Maybe I reacted too harshly, cutting ties when I should have heard him out. But it's too late now. I began to wonder if I had lost more than just an inheritance. This inner turmoil was consuming me. My grades tanked, I withdrew from friends and activities I used to enjoy. I knew reaching closure with Michael was the only way forward. But my darn pride would not let me take the first step. After months of endlessly agonizing over it, I finally worked up the courage to do what needed to be done. One night, I sat staring at Michael's number on my phone for ages before finally pressing call. My heart raced as it started to ring. Hello? Michael, it's me. Are you awake? I know it's late there. I just think we need to talk. There's so much I still don't understand. I think that'd be good. It's long overdue, really. We talked for hours. The floodgates opened as we held nothing back from one another, and, Michael explained his side and how he carried the burden of our broken family for over a decade, and Father's illness has been the catalyst to try to mend things before it was too late. The contents of the will actually shocked him, just as much as it shocked me. He never intended to capitalize on tragedy. In fact, after the store sale, he donated his entire portion to provide for the street kids at his gym. As we talked, the truth reshaped itself into something less black and white. We had both been victims in our own ways. Michael of his demon youth, me of circumstance and misplaced anger. By the time dawn broke over Bangkok, the air between us felt clear again. Like maybe it always should have been. We were imperfect brothers, bound not just by blood, but now a willingness to forgive one another's humanity. The kind of 3 a.m. absolution that can only pass between family. So guys, these days, Michael is still running his Muay Thai gym in Thailand. Expanded now thanks to his inheritance donation. He's got over 50 students training under his guidance. We email back and forth a lot, and I've even visited the gym to meet his fighter family. It's humbling to see the good that he's built. Anyways, guys, please share your judgment. I do need to ask you this. Am I the a-hole? I genuinely want objective opinions. This whole saga feels unresolved in some ways. Let me know your thoughts.
Alright guys, so this was a bittersweet ending. I mean, it seems like OP and OP's brother, Michael, were able to somewhat work things out. Yes, it did take a court battle, and yes, it did take a bit of revenge, but at the end of the day, they were able to split everything 50-50. Michael flew back to Bangkok, where he opened up his own martial arts studio and was able to give a lot of people that, were less fortunate the materials they needed to do Muay Thai. Guys, I want to know what you think about today's story, though. Do you think that OP is the a-hole of the story for the way OP went about this? Considering that is the question OP asked us at the end of the story, so let's discuss that down below in the comment section. Guys, thank you for joining me on today's video, and this is my revenge channel, where every single story has something to do with karma or sweet, sweet revenge. And if you guys want more daily revenge stories, consider subscribing to the channel. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. And of course, remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.